Thank you, Gary. I'd like to start by thanking everyone for coming out tonight. You're going to be asked to make an important decision on April 7th, and this is really just one way that you can get to know us. As Gary said, I'm Lisa Gregory, and I am seeking a seat on the City Council because I really care about Decatur. I love Decatur. I chose to buy my home here and to live here. And I think that Decatur is on the verge, really, of making great strides. The City Council has done a good job to get us where we are, but we need to continue moving forward. And I think that I am uniquely prepared for service on the Decatur City Council simply because of my professional background. I spent time at the Illinois General Assembly House staff, so I understand the interactions that must occur between municipalities and state government. I spent time at the Illinois Municipal League, so I certainly understand my responsibilities as a member of the Decatur City Council. And then I think, importantly, I spent time at the Treasurer's Office, and I understand the importance of fiscal accountability and to be transparent. And then advocacy work for the under and uninsured taught me the importance of caring for others. And so I think when I combine all of those skills and those talents that I've been blessed with, I want to bring into the Decatur City Council. I'm one of 6, and I look forward to working collaboratively with the other members. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. When I first announced my candidacy for Decatur City Council, I stated that one of the most important qualities of a leader is to listen, and that my first priority was to meet with as many of the citizens of Decatur as I could. Many conversations later, I have learned much about people's concerns and complaints and their hopes and dreams. But whether the individuals that I met were struggling or prospering, there has been one common theme. Decatur is a kind, caring, compassionate community. Decatur is a city poised for positive transformation. Decatur is the place we call home. Well, for Decatur's positive transformation to take place, it will take strong leadership. Leaders who are purposeful and deliberate, intelligent and imaginative, collaborative and cooperative, and kind and caring. These qualities are the same ones that I have strived for in my personal life and throughout my professional career within the fields of education, science, government, and private industry. As a biology professor at Millikan University, I am a co-founder of our Institute for Science Entrepreneurship and have developed a research laboratory with a national reputation. In addition, I've served on the Macon County Regional Planning Commission and on the Conservation District Board of Trustees. We have the opportunity to transform Decatur into a vibrant city and a model for growth. Together, we can move the community forward on a sustainable path. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Lewis?
My name is Bob Lewis. I've lived in Decatur since 1963. Give you a bit of biography here. In 1964, I went to work at a factory that's no longer here, Mississippi Valley Structural Steel. Lyndon Johnson sent me a letter in 65 sending me to the Army for 2 years. Went back to Mississippi Valley, went to Eastern, got a master's degree in education, taught at Pontiac High School for 1 year, not the prison. I worked for the Dale Carnegie folks for 13 years, organizing classes and also teaching classes. I still maintain my credentials to teach, though I don't do it much anymore. I was with the Job Training Partnership for 4 years, which is now called WIN. Those are the folks who help people find jobs, help them get retrained. I was involved with that. The last 28 years I've been with Sears, meeting the people of Decatur, basically. I can't think, everywhere I go I see people that, it looks like I've met those people somewhere, at least they acknowledge that they've seen me at that very place. So I think I've gotten a lot of feedback on what's going on, just striking up conversations with people as to what's on their mind, what they're looking for, what they want to do. As far as seeking this office, I've always had a strong interest in local politics. I read the paper faithfully and religiously. Agree and disagree sometimes with various editorials, but that's neither here nor there. Now that I'm retired, I have time to devote to other interests, take a more active role in what's going on in my hometown, and I have a strong desire to be of service. My work at Sears essentially was providing service for people, so I would consider this to be a continuation of what I did there, just on a little different level and providing different types of service. So with that, I'm done.
Thank you. Derek Thaxton.
My name is Derek Thaxton. I'm born and raised right here in the city of Decatur, 46 years old. I am married, wife of 25 years. We have 4 kids, all of whom are educated here in the city of Decatur. I've been working since the age of 13 years old. I burned up my first lawnmower at the age of 14. Just by doing neighborhood community service, mowing grass, raking leaves, and shoveling snow. I know probably nobody wants to talk about that part yet. I am running for office because I've taken advantage of what Decatur has to offer. 46 years, I've volunteered for numerous businesses and nonprofit organizations, African American Geological Society, Vice President of Decatur Black Chamber of Commerce, and I've also assisted coaching in Decatur JFL, also Eisenhower High School. I am currently working at a Fortune 500 company, Walmart, as a co-manager in sales of about $95 million. With that, I understand the importance of answering the question, why? We have some great things here in the city of Decatur, and we are on the, like the other candidate says, are on the edge of making Decatur great. I want to be a part of that. I know what it's going to take to succeed here. I know what it's going to take to have other people succeed here. As a Habitat Humanity recipient, I am all for the city of Decatur. You elect me on April 7th, I will be your voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Dana Ray.
Good evening, everyone. I am Councilwoman Dana Ray. I'm also a family physician at the Community Health Improvement Center, or CHIC Clinic, where I serve as medical director. I am also a 12-year Army Reserve veteran, and I actually drilled down the street here in Decatur for 10 of those years. I've also been on the City Council, as I stated, for the past 6 years. I am very well aware of the issues that's facing our community. The things that I have done is that I have been very instrumental in instituting the neighborhood walks in our city. This has been an excellent program because it's gotten people away from behind the desk at City Hall, gotten them out in the streets to where people in our community can state what is important to them, state about what's going on in their neighborhoods. The other thing that I'm very proud of that we've accomplished since I've been on City Council is that we have renovated our downtown area. The number of people that have been in our downtown area has increased as a result. Also with the Lakefront Development Program, continuing with that. We've also been able to finally get a home for the police department. It took over a decade to make that happen, but because we worked together collaboratively as a team on City Council, we were able to get that accomplished. Now, what do I want to do these next 4 years on City Council? I want to be able to, again, with that same passion and vigor that we renovated our downtown area, allow that to take place in our neighborhoods as well. I want our neighborhoods to be a shining star for our city. And so, if you re-elect me on April 7th, you're going to see that I'm still going to be active in our community. I'm still going to be accessible, and we're going to continue to move our city forward.
Thank you. As I stated, Mr. Faber couldn't be here today. He left a short statement that I'm going to read from him. And so this is Mr. Faber talking through me. To my friends, neighbors, and fellow citizens, I wish I could be with you this evening, but a long-standing commitment to my family keeps me away. And if it is all right with you, then I would like to share this brief written thought with you. Local government serves as the foundation of the community. The policies and the decisions of local government touch your lives every day. The city election of April 7th will find 80% of eligible voters staying home. Many feel that it is not worth the effort to vote because it makes no difference who is elected. Others feel that government pays no attention to them, so why bother? Allow Allow me to tell a short story. When I was just 9 years old, my dad took me into the voting booth with him. That evening, I asked him why he was so committed to voting, since his vote was only one of thousands. Dad said, "Billy, my vote may not be significant, but it is important." So my request to the hardworking men and women of Decatur is to please show up and vote. It is important. Thank you, Bill Faber. With that, we'll start with the first question, and David Horton will answer the first question first, and we'll go in order. If elected, we have 2 minutes on this question, and then we will have a 1 minute round for anybody that wants to clarify after we're done. So 2 minutes. If elected, what would be your top priority and why?
My top priority would be to increase prosperity through economic growth. We find ourselves in Decatur at a time where there is a great need for additional middle-class jobs and increased economic development. And what I'd like to see is stronger pathways from student to career. I'd like to see greater incentives to attract small businesses to Decatur. And I'd like to see that we have strengthened relationships with our current businesses and companies to retain and grow the businesses that are already here. I think that if we can grow the city through economic development and through growth, we'll increase the number of people that are here in Decatur, and collectively that will lead to increased revenue for our city through growth as opposed to increased revenue through taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Lewis.
Okay. Top priority, I'm kind of a nuts and bolts sort of person. On the way here today, my normal path would be going down my street to Main Street, go east, and then all the way downtown. Had to take a detour because there's a massive hole in the street. So my top priority would be in the area of the infrastructure. I think the roads are in such a condition that we need to address that rather quickly. The situation, when you let it go, it just gets worse. I am aware of the fact that we'd probably be at need to raise some taxes, either through a gas tax or some other means of providing for that, because the road's not in such pitiful shape. But I would say that that would generate a little bit of job opportunity, as Mr. Horn pointed out. A lot of these things require the use of outside contractors to do inspections, to do major paving work and these kinds of things. So those are some nuts and bolts sort of things that I would consider as being top priority. If we want people to come in and look at our town, they have to be able to navigate the streets. So if they can't do that, then there's probably not going to be much interest in people moving to town or otherwise expressing an awful lot of interest. That sounds a little simple-minded, but then again, I would say I'm pretty much a nuts and bolts sort of a person.
My first priority, I think, would be, yes, the infrastructure. We'd like to talk about the roads. We just had 2 very hard winters. Our roads are in pretty bad shape. We need to look and see what we need to do with that. But at the same time, look at economic development as far as jobs, training, and testing. If we're going to improve some roads, let's get some kind of training in place so that we can take some of our students. Not everybody is college material, but if we train them, if we teach them, if we train them and develop them, they'll become productive citizens. More importantly, they'll become productive taxpayers. So if we can improve our roads and teach, train, and develop some of our citizens into productive citizens who pays taxes, then we can always capitalize on what we've done downtown and what we've done to our water, and that will create a positive infrastructure.
When I was doing neighborhood walks, one of the first things that people discussed was the fact that there's no jobs in Decatur. Whether or not that's a perceived truth or reality is up for debate, but one of the biggest issues without fail was the ability to get a job as well as job training. That has to be something that has to be a top priority for myself. because that's what the people have stated that is important to them. We have made wonderful strides with the economic development in our city, especially with the ex-city manager Ryan McCready taking over the Economic Development Corporation. But the next piece also is job training. Our city receives federal funds so that we can use some of those funds for the low to moderate income families. We have already in the past given some money to job training. That's been done as far as through workforce investment and Richland Community College. We need to continue to make that investment. We're on the brink of something awesome with the Midwest Inland Port, and we need to get people ready to get those jobs when the inland port is fully operational. So we have the unique opportunity now to funnel money towards some of those job training organizations through federal funds. It's not going to come out the general fund, so that we can get people ready for those jobs when they come available. Again, this is something that people in our community have been talking about, something they want to see done, and I, as a city council member, want to make sure that that is one of my top priorities on this next tenure on city council.
My top priority, if I were to be elected on April 7th, really is to ensure Decatur's fiscal health. Working with the new city manager, I think the city council needs to continue its vigilance on making sure that we are fiscally placed so that we can take advantage of economic development, so that we can take care of the roads and the bridges to ensure that those are the tools that Ryan McCready has in his toolbox to go out and to seek new business and industry to come. We can't take care of our inner city neighborhoods and do what we need to do there if we are not fiscally in a place to do that. So I really think that in order to do the things that Decatur needs to move forward, we need to make sure that we have a fiscal checkbook that's going to allow us to do that. We're going to have to keep an eye towards what's happening in Springfield. The proposal to reduce the local government distributive fund has been said that it would cost the city of Decatur between $1.5 to $3 million. That's going to really force the city council to go back to the table and put the entire budget on the table and see what is, and prioritize the services that we're going to want to provide and the level that we can provide them. So fiscal accountability, ensuring Decatur's future would be my top priority.
Okay, now each candidate has a minute to either clarify or answer somebody else's or add something or whatever. So start the same way.
The question can be asked, how can we grow Decatur and increase economic development? And one of the things that has been happening in Decatur the past several years is a renewed spirit of collaboration and cooperation. And when the Economic Development Corporation of Macon County and Decatur, when the Chamber of Commerce, when organized labor and all stakeholders can get together, good things can happen. And we're seeing that with the Midwest Inland Port, which has great potential to change our community for the better and will allow us to become a national center for logistics and distribution.
Go ahead.
Yesterday, the school superintendent was at the Golden Gate Kiwanis meeting, and she brought out the fact that part of the issue with developing the inland port would be getting enough skilled trades and labor people there to do the various building aspects of that. And I'm not sure exactly what the city could do to foster the development of people with those trade skills, but it's certainly something that the council and the school district could get together and say, hey, listen, here's our needs as the future progresses. And so this is something we could at least collaborate on, probably maybe not financially, but at least in the form of a mutual spirit of seeing that this goal is reached and having more people trained to fill these jobs that are available.
It is going to take collaboration of a number of people. Jobs is a big thing. There's, according to Grow Decatur, there's 5,000 jobs here. Why haven't we filled those? Testing, training, and development. It's going to take a collaboration of people, Milliken, Ridgely, City of Decatur, and our public high schools. We can be successful if we work together. Thank you.
There are, again, economic development and job skills training is possible in our city. Again, there's federal funds that is allotted for this. Again, it's used for low to moderate incomes to address their needs. And again, this is not going to come out of the general fund. This is federal funded money that we have to use for low to moderate income individuals in order to allow them to move up the economic ladder. So what are we going to see as a result of this? We're going to see people being able to get higher paying jobs. We're going to be able to see people also buy houses, buy cars, spend their money, not just have a living wage, but a wage where they can enjoy some of the other attributes or other bonuses of having a higher paying job. This is something that is doable, that we can start real quick with the use of federal funds.
Oh, okay, good.
Stand.
Good enough. Okay, on to our next question, and this one will begin with Robert Lewis, 2 minutes. The Administrative Court in Decatur has recently come under some scrutiny, and in some other communities it's been alleged that such courts are simply revenue generators for those cities. What role, if any, should the Administrative Court play, and what oversight should the Council have over its operations? Start with Robert Lewis.
Well, in a perfect world, the Administrative Court would levy a reasonable fine for whatever the offense was. And then on top of that, there would be some sort of court cost. My observation of the Administrative Court was that the fines were set. There was no latitude or leeway on the part of the judicial person, judge, whatever he's called, to moderate based on circumstances. So that's pretty well cut and dried. The court costs, if I were in that court and had to pay $150 to show up for 10 minutes, I'd be a little miffed. As far as generating revenue, I have serious questions as to just how many of those fines actually got paid. You know, the whole thing, it appeared that a lot of people got a little bit of rough treatment in there. Granted, they were guilty of something if they would have been there in the first place. But as far as the overall demeanor of the court, I thought a little gentler hand might have been appropriate. Again, I haven't watched those proceedings on television lately. But I say it's definitely an area that it's desirable from the standpoint it helps to get the minor offenses through the system without tying up the circuit court. But I think there needs to be some modifications to make it a little less pleasant experience for those involved. As far as the money generator, I would seriously question whether that's happening at all, if it would. So, as I say, it does need some close looking at and some modifications.
Thanks.
The Administrative Court can be a benefit. Then I think the Administrative Court can be looked at somewhat as, hey, that wasn't in the best interest of the people. The benefit. There was a young man who was caught shoplifting. It was wrong. Instead of sending him to circuit court, they sent him through an administrative court. And that kept that from being on his record. And yeah, he did pay a fine. It was a costly fine, but I think it was a fine enough to keep it off his record. Then I hear the story of the man with the tires. There's some tires dropped off in his yard. He gets a fine, and he goes to court. He gets another fine for court costs. So there is some things there that needs to be looked at. So the Administrative Court can be a blessing and it can be a curse. I say we as council probably do need to look at it, yes. Thank you.
The Administrative Court actually was started so that a lot of minor issues would not go to circuit court. And it has been very well received in regards of not having those minor offenses going to circuit court and having people with a criminal record that really did not need one. The issue with the ordinances or the lack of, or the time period given for people to respond, I do agree needs to be adjusted. We have had several discussions over this over the past few weeks during city council meetings, and there is going to be a study session that's going to be taking place on this issue. One of the things that, again, I want to look at is what is the more appropriate time period to get people to respond. And I think if that is allowed, then that is going to curb some of the offenses that's going to the administrative court, as well as the other issue is making sure that people have proper notification of what those ordinances are. There are a number of people that I've talked to on a regular basis, even when we're going out doing our neighborhood walks, talking about how they didn't even know that that was a violation, or they didn't know what some of these ordinances are. So we as city council have to be more proactive in making sure that other people know what those ordinances are. And one of the suggestions that was put forth was to make sure that we put those in the water bills. And I was in support of making sure that those ordinances are made more knowledgeable to everyone. The other thing that is going to happen as a result of this administrative court is to make sure that our housing stock is improved by making sure that issues are addressed in a more timely manner. Again, it's about improving our neighborhoods and what we can do to improve the quality of life in some of the inner city areas as well.
As you've heard, the administrative court was put in place to expedite and to adjudicate code ordinance violations, and I think the purpose that it was put in place for, that it is serving. I'm a firm believer in continuous improvement, and I don't always believe that one fix is a once and done. So I think it's important to take a look at what the city council has been hearing from the citizens, that the timelines maybe are too stringent, or that the review of fines needs to take place. So I think it's important to keep the administrative court in place, but I think it's imperative on city council to ensure that it's running as smoothly as it can, and where it isn't, to make those adjustments and those minor tweaks so it's serving the purpose for which it was established.
The administrative court allows the city to enforce codes that are designed to improve the community and its neighborhoods. Recently, in the city council meetings that I've been attending, citizens, landlords have expressed some concerns, particularly on issues of procedural fairness. And these issues include things like time to respond and notification. And I think that the public comments that are at the city council meetings and then an upcoming study session are important ways that the city council can respond. But I would also encourage the citizens, encourage the landlords to come up with 1 to 3 priorities, 1 to 3 things that they would like to see changed in the administrative court, and that will allow the city council to act efficiently and effectively.
Thank you. Now we'll have, each candidate has a minute if they want to add to their comments or not. We'll start with Robert Lewis.
Good. Well, we're never going to make everybody happy, not everybody happy, but at least we can make an effort to make more people less unhappy. Modifying some of the procedures so that people aren't railroaded, ramrodded, whatever you want to use about that. In other words, to have a little higher level of customer satisfaction should be the goal of any kind of redesign of the administrative court. And that's something that probably needs to be looked at. Again, you can't make everybody happy, but you can make fewer people less unhappy.
I will say that it is, I'm glad to hear that it is a study session on it. I do remember one recall where I got a warning on January 2nd. My daughter parked the car across the grass. And from Neighborhood Services, I got a letter stating it's just a warning, but if I ever do it again, I'll be fine. So yes, transparency is needed there.
One of the things that I'm thinking of that occurred over these past few months that really shows what can happen when people band together and bring up their issues is the whole issue that occurred with the noise ordinance. This is something that people did get fined with. It did appear in administrative court. The process that worked was the fact that it was brought to City Council. They stated how it was unfair. They made their case, and as a result, the ordinance was changed. And that's the thing that we need to realize is that if there is a process that is not working for our community, you can always bring it up to the City Council, and it will be addressed. And that is one success story that has occurred that has been a benefit to every citizen in our community.
One of the responsibilities of a city council member is to listen. It's to listen when you call me on the phone. It's to listen when I see you in the street. And it's to listen to you in a very professional manner should you choose to present to the Decatur City Council. I'm proud of the way the Decatur City Council has handled those issues that have been brought before them. And should you choose to elect me on April 7th, I look forward to continuing that respectful, thoughtful consideration of issues.
Okay. Go on to the next question, and this one will start with Derek Paxton, 2 minutes to respond. A lot of you have already mentioned jobs, and obviously jobs are one of the keys to the city's future. And that's especially important with some of the opportunities we have, such as with the Midwest Inland Port. So what specifically would you advocate that the city do in order to attract more jobs to the city? We'll start with Derek Paxton.
What specifically what I do
As a council member.
as a council member, what specifically I would do is, I look at what Decatur has to offer and capitalize on it. Look and see what we've done right thus far. Capitalize on it. We just overcome a great unemployment rate a year ago. So we know how to turn things around. And when I say we, I mean we, the people. Of course, with the help of City Council. City Council will not be successful if it wasn't for the people. So one thing I would do is I would always highlight Decatur as a great place to live, a great place to do business. I look at Milliken. Milliken has a sign, a billboard sign that's posted, and I'll tell you what, I'm 46 years old. That sign makes me want to go back to school. It is a good-looking sign. It promotes the school. Why can't we do the same for the city of Decatur? Let's get some billboards out there. Let's get some signs out there. Let's get Decatur on the map as a great place to live, a great place to work. Not only just with the signs, but let's get our state representatives involved as well. Thank you.
One of the things that we've done recently on City Council is that we have improved the expansion of the TIF district in Macon County. This TIF district has expanded to include some areas of Mount Zion and Forsyth, but the most exciting thing is that it has included a lot more areas in Decatur. Decatur is really doing some awesome things because we've already utilizing the Economic Development Corporation as well as Rural Decatur to emphasize some of the things that we're doing well. We need to continue those collaborative efforts with those bodies, but also we need to continue to listen to our stakeholders as far as the things that they need and will help with drawing people here to Decatur. One of the things with me working at Chick Clinic is me being able to recruit other physicians and listening to what their needs are when they say that they're considering moving here to Decatur. And one of the things is, number one, the ability for their spouse to also get a job, and also as far as recreational activity. What I want to do while I'm on City Council, I plan to do this next 10 years, to make sure that we continue to have opportunities so that when I do recruit another physician to Chick Clinic, I have something for their spouse to do as well in our community, as well as some recreational activity, which is where the Lakefront Development Project comes into place, because we can be a destination spot. There's a lot of things going on the lakefront as far as Scoville Zoo and the Children's Museum, but we have an asset that we need to capitalize more on to draw people here on the weekends so that they can spend the money, and also even something for our own citizens to do on the weekend here in our community. So with what I want to do as far as economic development, again, is continue that collaborative effort.
From a city council perspective, I think one of the things that's already ongoing in Decatur really are infrastructure development and improvement. When new businesses come to take a look at Decatur, they're looking to see what infrastructure we have in place that is going to make it easy or business friendly for them to be here. So we're on the right track. We need to continue. We need to continue with the dredging of Lake Decatur, providing more water, not only to our citizens, but to the business and industry that require it to be located here. One of the things I think the city has implemented recently through an economic development position, and that is really just customer service. No business likes to come to town and say, I want to locate here, and somebody hands them a book 100 pages and says, have fun with that. It's really about rolling out the red carpet and providing customer service and ensuring that the regulations that we have in place for the relocation or the expansion of business and industry is friendly to them. If there's something in there that doesn't work for them, how willing as a city are we to modify to the extent that we can to encourage them to work here? City Council needs to work collaboratively, continue working collaboratively with the Economic Development Corporation. Listen to the Chamber of Commerce. They're the voice of business. What do we need to be doing in Decatur to make us stand out and make people want to be here? Certainly, Dr. Ray has talked about the TIF districts, but it's important also to encourage a variety of housing for people to live when they do decide to relocate here.
One way to grow jobs is to strengthen existing businesses and entice new businesses, particularly small ones. We can do this by aligning educational institutions to occupations, thereby developing our workforce and creating labor certainty. With Decatur Public Schools, Heartland Technical Academy, Richland Community College, and Millikan University, we have the ability to create strong pathways from student to career. The city can reduce barriers to launching small businesses, and with the assistance of other organizations, provide training and networking opportunities so that our new businesses can be successful. We can create new and diverse jobs as we foster public-private relationships that enable growth, as it is collaboration among government agencies, private industry, and neighboring organizations and communities all working together toward common goals that will allow us to prosper. As a member of the City Council, I will be very supportive of initiatives initiated by Decatur organizations such as the Economic Development Corporation of Decatur and Macon County and the Greater Decatur Chamber of Commerce. Two examples would be marketing initiatives such as the Community Branding Initiative and the Business Development and Resource Center that were highlighted at the Business Development Forum that took place in January.
The TIF districts appear to have been a fairly successful expander of business. A good example would be the county market store over here in West Grand. That was a blighted area for a long time, and I'm just guessing there's probably 7,500 people working at that store right now. I'm sure they didn't pull them all away from the other store on Pershing Road. As far as the council generating or creating jobs, that's not a direct. There would be a lot of indirect action working with the various agencies, educational, commerce, chambers of commerce, economic development to promote or sell Decatur. I'm not sure how true the story is, but the reason the Firestone plant came to Decatur back sometime during the 1950s is because some local citizen had a beautiful enough daughter to have somebody from the Firestone family marry that young woman, and so he put up a plant here. I don't think that's going to happen anytime in the near future. That would be kind of a fairy tale situation. But we've lost many businesses, not because of anything we've done, it's just because of what the business and industry is doing throughout the world. We need to do more insourcing than we do outsourcing. Like I say, remove the obstacles and have everybody who can possibly promote Decatur do so in whatever fashion they can. People talking down about Decatur doesn't help us at all. So I think we need to generate the attitude within the community to say, hey, Decatur's a good place to be. We've got a lot of good things going for us. Housing is a bargain. We have good municipal services. We're well located. if you don't like what's going on here, you can drive 50 miles any direction and pick up some other event that you want to take advantage of times of things.
Now, 1 minute for each candidate if they choose to add on or clarify. We'll start with.
The only thing I would add on is just like between Decatur and Macon Speedway. Now, I don't race or I don't know the first thing about racing, but that area out there would be a good development for the city of Decatur as well. And I'm not real sure, but I will research it if it's under a TIF district. But a good development. Also, Farm Progress Show coming up pretty soon here. Why not capitalize on it? That's what I mean by taking advantage of what we already have. That Farm Progress Show nets us a great source. Thousands and thousands of people come to visit our city on that Farm Progress Show. A great way for our city to capitalize.
One thing that people sometimes don't think about when you think about attracting people to our community is looking through their eyes and seeing what they see when they drive through our community. When you drive down our Main Street corridors, you're going through some neighborhoods that sometimes don't appear the best. What happens is that people end up formulating ideas about our city, about how we view our city based off of the appearance of our neighborhoods. We have to continue with the beautification issues that's going on, with Beautify Decatur, with Project Dig, Grow Decatur. All of these organizations are doing things to attract people and focusing on some of these less obvious things that other people are looking at. So we also have to continue to improve our neighborhoods in those corridors headed through our town to also attract people as well.
Thank you. I think Mr. Horn.
I do not accept the negative narrative of Decatur. It is time for Decatur to tell its story rather than other people telling our story for us. And so marketing initiatives that are being initiated is going to be a critical aspect and a critical way that we can improve our image.
Anything to add, Mr. Lewis?
No.
Okay.
Covered
On the next question, we'll start with Dana Ray. 2 minutes for this one. In recent years, the city has not allowed some businesses to operate in certain areas of the city. For example, a tattoo parlor was not allowed to operate in downtown a few years ago, and there have been discussions about whether liquor stores should be allowed in certain areas. So I'd like each candidate, what is the role of city government in these decisions, and how do you weigh that against the free enterprise system? And I want to add, this was a question that came, we solicited questions from readers. This was a question that came from one of our readers. So Dana Ray, you can start.
I was on City Council when this issue came up. These issues first go to the Planning Commission and they decide whether or not it fits the zoning for that area of town. The area of town where this was at would have required for that zoning to change in that area. When you look at the areas where the zoning issues are coming up, you want to make sure that it's going to be something that's going to accentuate that neighborhood. Again, when doing our neighborhood walks, we talk to people about what's important in their neighborhood, what they want to see going on in their neighborhoods, and we have to continue to listen to them. When people have certain businesses that want to come up, there's a grievance process where they then go to the Planning Commission or to the City Council to talk about why they don't want those businesses in their area. And we need to continue that process, and we need to listen to them and take their views into account when we're looking at adding businesses to certain areas in our town.
I think the role specifically for the city government when it comes to the location of certain businesses or certain activities certainly is to ensure that our zoning is where it needs to be. But then really I've said this before, but to listen to the residents and what do they want in their neighborhoods. But when you compare that against supply and demand, businesses locate somewhere because they understand that they're going to be able to make a profit. So to answer it directly, I don't think that there is really, aside from what I've already said, a role except for to be a mouthpiece for personal accountability, personal responsibility. You can't legislate those. But when David Horn talks about putting together, you know, your view for Decatur and expressing it. I call it get together your 30-second elevator speech for Decatur. Share it with your neighbors and share what your expectations for your city might be, and share what public perception would be outside of the community if individuals aren't acting responsibly or being accountable.
I think there should be a limited role of government when it comes to what types of businesses should be located in which locations. A couple months ago, Dr. Mark Rank was a speaker at the Institute for Science Entrepreneurship and talked about chasing the American dream. And the American dream has three components. The first is the freedom to pursue. The second is economic security. And the third is a concept of hope and optimism. And when we think about one's freedom to pursue, I'd like to think about that business owner who is deciding, I think that I can make a living helping the community with particular services and products. And so provided that that particular business is not taking advantage of those that are disadvantaged, I think the government's role should be limited and that free enterprise should be important.
This zoning issue with the tattoo parlor, I recall a neighboring business discussing that with me at one time, and it sounded to me like it was a matter of zoning, it was a question of good taste in terms of the name of the business and the particular location on the historic Lincoln Square, as it is called. As far as liquor stores, I think we already have plenty of those. They probably shouldn't be right next door to the schools or the churches. But I think if a business has a reasonable reason for being in a particular location, then that ought to at least be considered. Most of the zoning hearings that I've observed on the city channel, most of them have been fairly amicable. But again, it's just a question of whose ox is being gored as to whether this particular type of thing is going to be put in any particular spot. So again, there's an awful lot of up in the air kinds of things on that. Government should have a role in it, but I think they should, have some latitude as to what you're aware in terms of a business operating as opposed to not operating at all.
Seems to be a very popular question with me. It's got me in a little hot water. This question, as far as business coming into certain neighborhoods, I am all for business. As Vice President of the Decatur Black Chamber of Commerce, I am all for bringing businesses to the city of Decatur. However, there is some businesses that provide choices that is not beneficial to the neighborhood. Now, we as City Council don't govern businesses. I understand that. But if we work with city planning, put the right business in the right area. On the corner of Grand and Water Street, that was declared by the Decatur Police Department as the highest crime rate in the city of Decatur. There used to be a Shell gas station there when I grew up, but now it's turned into a laundromat, which is very convenient, good choice. Then there's a gas station, good choice. But then there's also a store there, gas station, convenience store, that sells alcohol. You go back 4 blocks, right around the corner, there's another one. Go around the corner from that one, there's another one. All these sell liquor. Now, I'm not saying regulate them. I'm not saying regulate them or run them out of business. But I am saying too much of a good thing can be bad. Michelle Obama took the choices out of schools. Surely, we can help people make better choices when we put liquor in certain neighborhoods. Thank you.
Each candidate gets a minute to add on or clarify, starting with Dana Ray.
Again, as far as when it comes to zoning, different things, goes to the planning commission first for them to make recommendation to the city council. When it comes to us for approval, we have to continue to be in a place where we listen to people. And if people bring up concerns about what's going on in their neighborhoods, we need to listen to them. We need to give them an opportunity to talk about what their concerns are. It's something that I believe very greatly in, and on city council, we need to continue to do that.
Robert Lewis, you have anything?
No.
Derek, anything else?
No.
Okay, we'll move on to the next question then. We'll start with Lisa Gregory on this one, 2 minutes. Since council members are elected at large, some people believe that certain areas of the city aren't adequately represented. If elected, what would you do to ensure that the council represents the entire city?
Listen, I've said it before. It is one of the primary responsibilities of the city council. I spend a lot of time out in the community, pay attention to what's going on. Over the last 8-9 months, people haven't been shy. They've been coming up and sharing with me their ideas, their thoughts for change. And so it is our responsibility to embrace the diverse heritage and culture that we have, and ensure that we are making decisions that are representative of the entire community. And if elected, I've chosen to put myself in that position, and will continue to listen, and will continue to consider what's being said to me, and if change needs to be made, certainly work with other members of the city council to ensure that we're making decisions that are representative of our entire community.
I think there's several things that someone that is elected at large can do, and these include listen, be accessible, be everywhere, and finally act. We think so much about federal elections and state elections, but the reality is that on a day-to-day basis, the form of government that matters the most is local government. And therefore, as Decatur City Council members, we have the responsibility to demonstrate to all of our citizens the importance of what we do on a day-to-day life. We are in a house in Decatur. We get in our car and we drive to somewhere, presumably a place of employment in Decatur, and then we enjoy evenings in Decatur in the downtown renovated areas. Collectively, everything that we do on a day-to-day basis involves local government, and having strong local leadership is critical to the prosperity of our city and critical to the well-being of our citizens.
I'd be a little facetious here, but if every council member and elected official in the city wore a little badge and said, "I am so-and-so, tell me your troubles," we'd probably get an awful lot of response. But once people often say, "Well, gee, if you're elected, what are you going to do about?" I heard an awful lot of questions like that as I was gathering my petitions. Being an at-large member does mean that you have to represent the entire city. Listening, being visible, keeping your antennae up, open door, allow people to call you at any old time of day or night. Drive around and visit various neighborhoods, and then after you've gotten feedback or input from people, respond to them in one way or the other, either a letter or a note or an email or something of that sort. Email I'll have to learn, but I think just generally letting people know that if they have a problem that you do want to hear about it, in other words, you have to present the open door attitude, if you will.
In order to make changes in Decatur, we got to have we the people. As a council member, what I would do is visit neighborhoods, visit neighborhood organizations. There's some fellas standing out there on the street corner. There's some people at work. There's some people in school. Why not invite them to Mayor currently has on the agenda right now a place for presentations. If I invite them, why not send them on out? Fred is a guest of mine today. Fred, what would you like to address the city council? Make it open, make him feel warm, make him feel welcome. That's all about being transparent in city council, in city government. Most people are intimidated by it anyway. But if you open that door, let them walk through it. It can be a great thing for the city of Decatur. Thank you.
There's a saying by John Maxwell that says, people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. And that is one of the driving forces for me with getting out to the neighborhoods, talking to people. We've been doing this for the past 4 years. And the neighborhood walks are not just occurring in the inner city. We've been out to Meadowlark, we've been out to Sims Court, we've been out to Park City. So these neighborhood walks are very diverse. We're hearing what people are saying. I'm representing all of those people when I go out and talk to them. I'm not just representing a small subset of the population. The other thing that is really key is that the neighborhood walks are still occurring because people in our community are calling and are asking, can you come to my neighborhood? I want to show you what's going on in our area. I want to talk to you about the concerns that I have. This is something that I'm extremely proud of because, again, we are making ourselves available to hear what's going on. A lot of people don't even know who's on city council or who the mayor is. I mean, and to us who are here in this room, that sounds absurd. But for a great deal of our community, they don't know that. And it's up to us who are on city council to make sure that we make ourselves available in a non-intimidating manner to hear what's going on. A lot of people don't want to come to city council because they're intimidated by those cameras. They don't want people to talk about how they've seen them on TV. But because we have made ourselves available to go out on our time on Thursday nights and to hear what people have to say, we have been able to bridge the gap and allow people to feel like their voice is important and their voice can be heard. And I'm always going to make sure that I hear what you have to say.
Thanks. Candidates will have 1 minute to add on and clarify. Start with Lisa Gregory.
Tip O'Neill said once, all politics are local. I would encourage you, if you haven't read the book, do so. It's very interesting. But it is important because the city council is going to affect you more than Chapin Rose, Amy Menard, Bill Mitchell, Sue Shear. We're going to set your property taxes. And it is unfortunate that in a city the size of Decatur, that we have such low voter turnout. Let me just give you really quickly an example. I just did a mailing. I did the mailing for households that voted in 2013 and 2011. I only sent a mailing to 5,099 people. That's sad. Encourage your neighbor on April 7th to get out and vote.
Robert Lewis, anything to add?
A random thought here. In England, they have a place called Hyde Park where they're going to get up and rant about whatever they want to. Maybe you ought to make a forum available to the public here in Decatur where people can come down on a given night. Hopefully there'll be an audience gathered there and they can rant, rave, and complain about whatever they want to. So that's just a thought. Creative, goofy idea.
I will commend Dr. Dana Ray and Pat McDaniel, council members. When those walks are in the neighborhood, those walks are very effective, very effective. Just campaigning, when I walk, I look and see how effective that is. You know what the most response I get? Is this the last time I'm going to see you? So those walks are very, very impactful.
Thank you.
As a family physician, I have the unique, and I'm working at Chick Clinic, I work with the medically underserved. So those people who don't have insurance or who have Medicaid or are underinsured. One of the things that I say that, I'm in a unique position is because when I'm addressing their health issues, a lot of the times they're bringing up social issues. They're bringing up concerns that's going on in their neighborhood. So even though I'm at work, I'm still hearing about people and what they view as important to them. Even when I go to church, I have people who will bring me aside and talk about what's going on. We need to continue to make sure that we're accessible. I'm going to always be accessible. And on April 7th, you need to make sure that you vote for Dr. Dana Ray.
Great, thank you. Our next question is going to be part of our lightning round. So the first round, the only answers acceptable are yes or no. We don't need, and then we'll go around and have explanations. So again, the only acceptable answers are yes or no. This is really, what happens often in campaigns is people talk, but when you get on the council, you got to vote. So this is kind of aimed at that. So the question is, and we'll start with David Horn, would you vote for an increase in the local gas tax in order to repair the city's roads and streets?
Yes.
Mr. Lewis?
Yes.
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 Okay, now you can explain it. Start with you.
A couple days ago, I was driving west on West Main Street from Milliken to Glencoe Avenue. And about midway through, my car ran over a pothole that at the time was about 1.5 feet deep. And later that day, it was about 3 feet deep. And collectively, we have a challenge in the infrastructure and in particular in the roads. And if we're going to entice new businesses to our city, if we are going to recruit and retain and strengthen our current businesses, we have to maintain a strong infrastructure, and that infrastructure includes roads. And while no one likes having an increase in a tax, an increase in a fee, the gas tax may be the most effective and the most fairest way to improve our roads because it taxes those individuals that use them.
Yes. People who use the roads tear up the roads, therefore they should kick in the money to get the roads fixed. I do realize that nobody likes to, there's the rationale that if we raise the gas tax here in Decatur, they'll drive somewhere else to get the gas. Well, in the process of driving to get the gas, they probably burned up more gas than the money they saved. So there's kind of a false economy of that. But I think if we were to impose a local gas tax, at current gas prices, nobody's going to squeal too much. But as the price of gas goes back up again, it would be, in my mind, a good idea to put some sort of a ceiling as to when that tax would expire or be chopped out, or at least some sort of a sunset provision on a tax of that type. But it is a fair tax. People who use it, they ought to pay for it.
Yes, I would support a gas tax. It's not something you want to do, but something we as a city need to do. You come into town, 51, Business 51, which is Main Street. You're either going to drive to the far left of that lane or the far right of that lane, where you're going to ride that white line. I'll tell you, we just need to fix some roads. You take Wood Street, headed from downtown, headed towards Mount Zion, and I guarantee you, before you hit US 36, you're going to get front end alignment. So we must look and see what we have to do to get the things fixed. I hate to have someone come here and see what progress we've made, and then have them leave town on a bumpy road. So yes, probably not the best thing, but it's the quick solution, and it's a good reason why we should. Thank you.
When I first got on city council, I went to a Kono neighborhood event. It was actually taking place in Central Park. And one of the issues that was brought up was a gentleman who was talking about how his sewer system was backing up in his house. This was a quality of life issue for him. The condition of our roads is a quality of life issue. This city council have been very good at addressing infrastructure problems. We need to continue to address infrastructure problems. This is one of the last ones that we need to deal with. We've done with the stormwater system. We've done with the sewer system. We've dealt with our water concerns. We've dealt with those infrastructure issues. The councils prior to mine, didn't want to make those hard decisions, but we worked collaboratively while I was on city council to make sure we address this. This is one of those issues that need to be addressed and will be addressed because if your car is damaged because you drove down a road, or you have to, as has been stated, dodge potholes, and it is a quality of life issue that will be addressed, and we will address because it's affecting us.
We can't kick the can down the road anymore. It's time to do something about it. No one likes to raise taxes. I have floated the idea of a county sales tax increase. That way Decatur isn't uniquely set apart from having higher gas prices than Blue Mound or Forsyth, Mount Zion. I realize that it's more labor intensive to do that. You're working with more municipalities. It's probably going to take more of a groundwork to get it done. But certainly we have to find a revenue source where it's at. The question was regarding motor fuel tax. So yes, I think it's important that when you seek infrastructure improvements like that, that you tie a revenue source directly to the project. This makes sense to do that. I think it's important when we do that, that as a city council, you become very transparent about what you're doing. You let the public know the revenues that you expect to collect and exactly where you're going to put them, and make sure that your citizens see that you're doing what you said you were going to do with the money that they gave you to do it.
Give the candidates 1 minute if they want to clarify anything. Mr. Horn, fine. Robert Lewis? No. Derek?
No.
Yes, one of the issues that was just brought up is that the city of Decatur is home rule, so we can institute a motor fuel tax. But as far as county, they are not home rule. They cannot institute a motor fuel tax. It's something that we have discussed, one of our many study sessions on the motor fuel tax for our city. So again, that's one of the things that we need to take into consideration as well.
I just want to be clear. I would suggest a sales tax, a percentage of a sales tax, and not a motor fuel.
Okay, the next question. Also, there are 3 possible answers to this one. They are stay the same, be lowered, or be increased. So we'll start with Robert Lewis. This is our last question before closing statements, by the way. So outside of the gas tax, the city also collects taxes from a number of other sources: property taxes, sales tax, utility tax, food and beverage tax. There are lots of sources there. So taken as a whole, do you believe the city's taxes in those areas should stay the same, be lowered, or be increased? Those are the 3 answers, and we'll come back and clarify. So, Mr. Lewis?
Some should be left the same.
Okay.
There are some.
Oh, there's 3. Okay, Derek,
Okay, I'm sorry. What are the 3?
stay the same, be lowered, or be increased.
Okay. And I'm sorry, what was the question?
Okay, there's all these other taxes outside the gas tax, the city property tax, utility tax, sales tax. So taken as a whole, do you think those taxes should, if you're on the council, would you advocate them staying the same, being lowered, being increased? One of those 3, then we'll come back.
Stay the same.
Okay, thank you.
Same.
Stay.
Stay the same.
Okay, now we'll let you explain your answers. Starting with you, Robert Lewis.
Okay. Well, by leaving them the same, people are no worse off than they are right now. They wouldn't be better off, but again, I can't think of too many circumstances where the city doesn't need all of the revenue that they're getting. If there were great evidence of major waste or malfeasance that is using up tax dollars, then I could see the possibility of being able to reduce some of these taxes. But most governments are revenue poor right now, and they're getting poorer. Bad news from the state is they're going to start chopping things and promising things that they didn't want to deliver on in the first place. So I think if we left the taxes the same, we would be no worse off, we would be better off, but there is no damage done from what we're already doing at this point.
I just stay the same. We're operating pretty good now. We are on the incline. We are in progress, great progress. We've done some things well and still doing some things well. We've got some great things coming to the city, inland port, not to mention what we have here already. There's jobs added already to the incur visitances that are here. So let's capitalize on what we have already, not raise any more taxes. I understand the gas tax will be instituted, but that's to pave roads. And that's the why. Why do we raise that tax? To improve the roads. But as far as all the other taxes, let's keep it the same. We're doing okay.
We need to keep it the same. And the reason why we can keep it the same is that, if you elect me to city council, one of the things that I'm going to try to work on, some of these directly versus indirectly, is number one, if we increase our population to our city, that can end up directly decreasing the amount of property tax that people have to pay. If we increase our housing stock, we need to continue to demolish houses that are dilapidated. But the next piece is if we need to increase the estimated assessed values of homes. So we have to address the issue of the houses or the properties that are running down, getting those issues addressed, increasing our housing stock, and therefore increasing the values of our homes. Also, we need to continue to draw people to Decatur. If we are successful with the Lakefront Development Project and we get projects that is going to draw people to Decatur to spend their money, that's going to end up meaning more revenue through sales tax. That's why in some of our surrounding communities, they pay less in property tax because they generate so much more money through sales tax. We need to look at some of these other revenue streams as far as drawing people here, increasing our population so that we can end up seeing more revenue through having more people in our community.
Thank you.
Gary, you made me pick one of those based on today. In May, the answer might need to be different because we don't know what Springfield is going to do. We don't know what's going to happen with the proposal the governor put out last month. So without that information, I think that they need to stay. City Council, the current City Council has done an excellent job of putting budgets on the table, looking for increased efficiencies. And I think we've got to continue doing that. We've got to continue living within our means, making sure that our expenditures don't exceed the revenues that we're bringing in. And until you can prove that to the citizens, I don't think that you have any business even considering talking about increasing taxes.
In the current time being, it's going to be important that we keep our property tax, sales tax, and other taxes at an equivalent level. Simply put, the state's fiscal condition is such that, in fact, with the loss of a municipal share of state income tax, there's going to be more pressure on our budget, not less. Decatur is in a situation where we have declining populations, declining revenue. That said, it's going to be important that we turn the pendulum in the other direction. And so ultimately, the City Council, the other municipalities, private enterprise is going to have to begin the discussion of how we are going to invest in Decatur so that we have increasing revenues and ultimately economic growth that will allow us to lower those property taxes and sales taxes. So undoubtedly, given the state's fiscal condition, given Decatur's current situation, staying the course is appropriate, but ultimately, how are we going to invest in Decatur to make it a better place?
Thank you. We'll give the candidates 1 minute if they want to add on or clarify, starting with Robert Lewis.
Just a quick thought here. There's the nightmare scenario of the person who spends a lot of money improving the appearance of his house by putting in a new garage and putting a new driveway, and all of a sudden his taxes go higher. So there's kind of a paradox of improvement here, in that I think we should. And I know the county they're the ones who assess the value. The city doesn't directly do that. They get the benefit of the assessment based on the tax rate. So I think it might be important to find a way to encourage people to improve their homes without hitting them with a double whammy of buying the improvement and also paying a higher tax after the improvement's made. So just a thought.
Dr. Ray?
Again, what we need to continue to do is making Decatur an attractive place for people to live, work, and play. The more that we can do as far as economic development, job skills training, so that people can get the higher paying jobs, they can buy a house. About 40 to 50% of our people in our community actually rent homes. If we can, again, address federal funds towards that low to moderate income group so that they will have the ability to get a first-time home buyer loan, or to be able to get that job skills that they need, we can end up seeing the number of people who are paying taxes and property tax and sales tax increase, because we made this a better place to live because of the economic development and the investment we've made into our community.
Okay. We'll go with closing statements now. Each candidate will have 2 minutes. We'll keep our rotation, so we'll start with Derek Taxman. So 2 minutes for closing statements.
My name is Derek Taxman once again. Born and raised right here in the city. I am going to be your voice. On April 7th, we're all asking you to make a big decision. We're asking you to select 3 council members. I hope that I am one of your council members. I am born and raised right here in the city of Decatur. I don't play politics. I have no hidden agenda. I'm not here to move on forward to bigger and better things. I'm here to make Decatur better. Born and raised here, I live here, I breathe here, I work here, had plenty of opportunities to move out of the city, but I chose to stay here. I live, I breathe Decatur. On April 7th, I want to be your voice, your choice, your voice. Vote for me, April 7th. Derek L. Taxton Sr.
Again, Dr. Dana Ray. I have been on the City Council for the past 6 years. I have listened to your concerns. I have made sure that your issues have been addressed through City Council. I have shown that we can be fiscally responsible. We have moved the city in the right direction by getting the police department in place, by giving them a home, the police department a home, by making the downtown renovations a reality, by addressing the infrastructure needs. These are things that I have been able to accomplish over the past 6 years. But again, my passion has been that I haven't forgotten the neighborhoods. We have made sure that we have listened to you and that we have addressed your needs. We're going to continue with the neighborhood walks. I'm going to continue to hear what your concerns are. And we're going to continue to work on that job development that you say that is important, that economic development that you said is important, so that job skills can take place in our community, so that people can get higher paying jobs, so that our neighborhoods can look better, so that when we can have things to do here. Our slogan has been for Decatur to be a place where you can work, live, and play. We need to focus on all of those things so that you can have a good quality of life. And those are the things that I'm going to continue to work on through my next 4 years on City Council if you choose to elect me. So on April 7th, you make sure that you remember Dana Ray when you cast your vote. Thank you.
I want to thank you again for coming out this evening. You've given us about an hour and a half of your time. It indicates that you're really interested in making the right choice on April 7th. Decatur is my home. This is where I love to be. I work here. I have a lot of fun with my grandkids in the parks here. And I have one of the best jobs in Decatur that I think anybody at this table has. And so I just want to make sure that Decatur continues to be the premier community in downstate Illinois. I believe that I bring to the table the skills and the talents that are necessary to move it forward. And it really is the only agenda item that I have. I'm interested in ensuring that we move forward and that we become the very best that we can. So I'm asking on April 7th that when you go to the polls, I respectfully request your vote for Lisa Gregory. Thank you.
Having grown up in Bethesda, Maryland, and lived in places such as Hiram, Ohio, Oxford, Mississippi, Ames, Iowa, and Bowdoin, North Dakota, I have come to know Decatur as a great place to live, to work, and to play. Decatur is poised for positive transformations with its best days ahead. By working collaboratively, we can improve our city and enhance our well-being. The employees, City Council, and Mayor of Decatur, our businesses and corporations, civic and academic organizations, initiatives such as Grow Decatur, and citizens have laid the foundation for positive transformation of our city. From the downtown streetscape to the lakefront development, from the renovation of the high schools to the new police station, from dredging of Lake Decatur to the Midwest Inland Port, we have created the infrastructure. It is time to invite everyone to figure out how to use it. I am ready to work collaboratively with you to increase prosperity, have greater accountability, build stronger communities, and achieve positive transformation for our great city. To do this, we must confront head-on the challenges that we face. We must honor our past while embracing change. Our city has much to be proud of. We are hardworking and spirited, friendly and giving, and we have caring hearts. I am ready to work collaboratively to make our city better and improve our well-being. Help me help Decatur. On April 7th, I ask that you vote David Horn for Decatur City Council.
Abraham Lincoln used to end many of his letters with the letters YOSAL, which stands for Your Obedient Servant, Abraham Lincoln. I in no way want to compare myself to Abraham Lincoln here. He is one of my heroes. I have lived in Decatur for a long time. I've seen the city on the rise. I've seen it fall. I've seen it circling down slowly, and then appears to be on the upsurge again. As a city council person, I would be obligated to you as the citizens to be your obedient servant. I will make a commitment to do that. I am retired now. I don't have to answer to Sears. I don't have to answer to anybody other than my wife of 49 years. So I've got ample time to be of service to the people of this community. We do have a lot of good things going for us here in Decatur. We just need to grab a hold of the reins and whip the horse and get it going in the right direction. And I'd like to be a part of that movement to make these kind of things happen. Voter turnout is always miserable. I think one of the obligations of every candidate for office is to make the election interesting and make it something that the people get a little excited about. I hope that our debate here tonight with these fine folks has helped beat the drums a little bit. I hope to get a better than town turnout of 5,900 people, something like that, which is pretty pitiful. So again, my name is Robert D. Lewis. I go by Bob all the time. It's not going to be printed that way on the ballot, but I would appreciate your vote. I'm one of several choices. What you see is what you get. I'm pretty much out in the open here.
Thank you. Let's give our candidates a big round of applause.